Okay, good morning, everyone. I want to welcome everyone to this amazing webinar. And on behalf of Chief Painting Team and Management, we'd like to thank everyone for being part of this webinar. And we want to say that we don't take it for granted, and for taking your time out of your time to join us. We really appreciate it. We are so excited to have people here and to learn how to make better paint decisions. And our topic today is going to be before you paint, you need to avoid this costly paint selection mistake. My name is Oluwadamilare Ogumeko. I'm going to be your host for today. Okay, so many people believe achieving a beautiful and long-lasting painting finish starts with choosing of a particular paint or colors. And in reality, it starts with choosing the right paint system in terms of uh, preparing a surface and understanding a unique needs of a particular properties. And before you apply all these paint, there are some certain things you need to go through, and there are some certain things you need to do. So our goal today is to share an important knowledge and information on how to help us to avoid all these common mistakes that we make when choosing paint for a particular project. So, and also, we are going to make sure that we don't stay long. And at the same time, we're also going to look into how to achieve a durable paint result at the same time. So, and before we go into it, uh, I have I have an important information to pass. I will, if you want to answer a question, you can write it down or drop it on the chat box so that you can take your question later. Then also, you can always mute so that we can all enjoy this section. At the same time, there will be a question section whereby you will be asked, will be the speakers will be answering our questions. So let me quickly share my screen. Okay, so welcome once again to Sweet Painting webinar, and I want us to meet our speakers. I have the first speakers is Esther Kinaku, which is our business development manager from Street Painting, Nigeria. And we also have Adetong Tijani, which is the head of technical from Beja Paints Nigerian PLC. They are going to be taking us on this journey. And our agenda today is, which we have already done, we've already introduced ourselves. And because I don't want us to stay long, so I could have asked everyone here to be introducing themselves, but we need to move fast. Then we are going to be looking into why paint selection matters, most costly paint selections mistakes, how to choose the right paint for your properties. We have some case study where we are going to show how fast sweet painting can be. Then the sweet painting professional process, how they do their things, and also live questions and answer. Then we close uh, the webinar. So why paint selection matters? I would like to mute somebody. Okay, the person is moved on already. So I would like to introduce the first speakers to take us on this journey on why paint selection matter. And in this section, I'll be introducing a very knowledgeable person and experienced person that has been in this field of paint selection. She know more about sweeps. She is the most important person. She do most of this running and go for sightseeing, meet all the clients to advise them on a particular paint to use for a particular project. And in order not to waste our time, I will be calling in our business development manager. Kindly help me to welcome Esther Kinapu to take us on this journey. You are welcome, Esther. Kindly unmute.
Thank you, Damilari. Good morning, everyone.
So please, Esther, please, we would love you to take us on why paint selection matters.
Okay. All right. I hope I'm audible enough. So,
Yes, we can hear you.
all right. Thank you. Why paint selection matters. So, it's not just about picking colors. You want green, you want cockroach brown, you want sunshine yellow, burnt orange. It's about knowing the right steps to take, what is happening on the current surface that you want to paint. And so that's why we are saying paint is not just color, paint is about protection. Paint is a layer of protection over an existing surface. It could be concrete, it could be plaster, it could be metal, wood, whatever it is a layer of protection. And so choosing the wrong paint could lead to peeling, fading. If you have a wet surface and the proper surface preparation or procedures are not done, you can now see the mold effect on your paint. And this would make you to constantly repaint the area. You lose money and wasted time. And so if you are going to paint an external area, for instance, um, before you choose the colors that maybe you have your brand colors already, you're also supposed to look at what type of paint you want to apply. Do you want to use matte? Do you want to use satin? Do you want to use silk? Those kind of questions, that's what you ask. And so we are saying that as Swift painting, as Bedra paint, we would recommend not just the right color, but the right type of paint for you to use for your external areas. Because your external areas are going to be exposed to weather conditions, rain, sun, and this can either cause fading or washing away of your paint. When there's high rainfall, you start seeing that some paints are beginning to fade.
Okay, I think we lost her, but let's wait for her to join. Can you guys hear me, please?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, I think she's still on. She'll be back. Let's wait for her a little. Toiba, I think you are raising your hand. Is there anything you want to tell us before Esther join us back? Can you unmute, please? Okay, before we have her back, so let me also contribute to what she's saying. Like she was saying that the why it's so important for a painter company or a particular house owner or a landlord to select paint before painting their house, either interior or exterior. Somebody is coming in. It's very important. Why it's so important is that many paints does not require you to use them in an interior or an exterior, because using a particular paint for an interior can also cost you a lot of money in terms of assuming you're using a particular paint for exterior for interior, like using a satin outside of the house. And I'm assuring you that in the next 6 months or 1 year, you will be repainting again. And considering molds, dark walls, issues, and the rest, there are some particular paint that you also need to use before you apply your mats or satin to a particular wall. So I will be this part to the second speaker to tell us more about a particular paint that we can also use for our interior or exterior in terms of when we are having issue with molds, damps, faded paint, and the peeling paint. So I'll be introducing Adetone. Adetone is an experienced person, is the head of technical in Berger Paint Nigerian PLC with over many years of experience. And he has insight in homeowners, commercial clients, and how to protect walls, how to protect algae and molds, and what you can do, what you can use to apply, what you can use to treat all these walls. So I'll be calling Adetong Tijani to take us on the journey of a particular paint that you can use for a particular walls. Adetong, are you there with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
Good
so
morning, everyone.
good morning. You are welcome.
Thank you.
I will be sharing a particular slide so you can run us through. The floor is yours.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much, everyone. So today we are going to be looking at climate challenges and how it affects paint durability in tropical regions and better paint solution. So as it is, I'll just first of all digress a little bit. Thank you, our moderator, and our first speaker, Esther. So we've rightly discussed about the right paint selection. The thing is this, like it has been buttressed, paints is not just all about saying, oh, I love this orange color that somebody has used, or I love this lemon color, let me just buy the paint. Or you just say, how much is the paint? The paint is cheap, let me just buy it. Because the fact is that the cheapest paint that is bought can also be the most expensive option. Then I also like to paint some scenarios for wrong paint selection. Oftentimes, when people see paint out, maybe whenever it is applied, they don't really know what exactly was applied and why it was applied, because what was applied and why was it applied. Now, for instance, we have a lot of curbs. At times, the normal standard is that people put road marking, but we see that a lot of times you see some people just carry emulsion, a water-based emulsion paint, and they just put it on curbs. Or maybe they just carry a gloss paint and they just put it. But meanwhile, somebody else has applied a road marking paint on his own curbs. And in some other cases too, for instance, some people will apply, you see people applying emulsion paint on some portion of their roofs, while some other persons will use a roof coating. Another scenario is for floor coating. You see, the standard is that people apply epoxy floor coating for floor, but you just see some people just carry gloss to say, maybe it's the same. Is it not gray? Is it not red that they use? Just go and buy a red gloss paint and they just put it. So it cannot be the same thing, because the fact is that paint is not just about because it is cheap or because it's okay. It is a very, the color is very attractive, it's very beautiful. Because the fact is that there will always be a cost to pay, because part of it is what my colleague has mentioned, that is Esther. There will be issues of peeling, fading. There will be frequent repaint. As a matter of fact, wasted money is part of it. But the main thing that we need to consider when we're talking about the right paint selection per time is that, number one, it's all about the protection of the substrate. It's more than just the aesthetic appeal that we're looking at. Painting or paint is the first thing that should be in the core mind of everyone, is about the protection of the substrate and the lifespan of the property or the substrate of what we're looking at. And we are talking about overall maintenance cost reduction, because when you use the wrong paint, definitely you are going to spend more. Now, I'm going back to the slide in front of me. I'm talking about the climate challenges and how it affects. Please, can you go back to the first slide? Yes, thank you. And how it affects paint durability, because we need to consider the substrate. That's why I mentioned earlier, I said, what paint are you using and why? Because that why has to do with this condition of the substrate. Now, part of it, when I'm talking about the climate challenges, we have what we call high humidity. It has to do with when we have trapped moisture in the environment. Then intense solar radiation, talk about heavy rainfall, marine exposure. All of these factors affect paint durability. So we are going to be educating ourselves on preventing paint failures, choose a proper surface preparation, and correct product selection using Beja Paint. Because at Beja Paint PLC, we provide a coating system that is designed for that gives durable performance in tropical conditions. Next slide, please. Now, the first one we'll be looking at is moisture-related paint failures and recommended solution. Now, the fact is that oftentimes in most substrates, especially walls, there is issue of trapped moisture in the substrates. And when we say trapped moisture, we're talking about the humidity. Humidity slows down paint drying, because if you apply plain paint on a wet substrate, there's not going to be adhesion. There'll be the film of the paint when it dries is going to be weak. So which will definitely lead to peeling and blistering. So the normal standard recommendation is that there has to be proper surface preparation, because even if you buy an expensive paint and you just apply it directly on the damp surface or where we have high humidity, there's still going to be paint failure. So that's why the first thing is that surface preparation has to be emphasized through cleaning, sterilization, and thorough drying of the surfaces. Because all of this is going to prevent mold growth, and it also improve paint adhesion, because wherever we have dampness or we have high humidity, that place is a breeding ground for anything microbial. So definitely that moisture or dampness that we are seeing will definitely develop and still get to the state where we start having microbial growth. Now, for Beja Paint recommendation, we recommend the use of special primers. We have what we call Beja Concrete Protector or alkali resisting primer. There are two different products. So these two products, they're able to seal the surfaces of the substrate, and they're able to also block any form of moisture penetration that we will be able to see on the substrate that we have. Then having done that, after putting the primer, the next thing is now to apply a durable coat. It's not just about taking any type of paint. A durable coat like our Luxor Premium and Super Premium Gold Finish. This Luxor Premium and Super Premium Gold Finish, they provide moisture resistant and durable protection. Then durable decorative protection to your final substrate. And I'm sure some of the pictures of this will be shown to us so that we can see the pictures of our Luxor Premium and Luxor Premium Gold Finish. Next slide. So on the left-hand side, in the yellow buckets, that's our Super Premium finishes. We have it in the weather show for exterior application, for both exterior and interior application. We have super premium matte. We also have it in the thick variant too. Then on the right hand side, we have a Luxor Premium. The one and the green variant is the one with a very low VOC. We also have the premium satin, the premium matte, and we also have it in other variants too. Next slide. The next tropical challenge I'll be looking at is ultraviolet degradation of paint films. How we manage it. So looking at the impact of ultraviolet radiation from sunlight on applied paint, the fact is that oftentimes when paint is applied, UV radiation from sunlight can break the chemical bond in paint, which can lead to fading, it can lead to chalking and cracking, especially when dark colors is applied for exterior application. Because one thing the dark color does is that it's able to do what? To absorb all the heat that is coming from the sunlight. So the better paint recommendation is ultraviolet resistant paint solution. So we have our super premium ultraviolet resistant paint, which is our weather show. We have it in the Luxor Gold weather show. We also have the Luxor Gold matte finish. So this helps maintain the color stability and durability in harsh sunlight. And another thing is to also pick strategic color. For instance, like lighter colors, because lighter colors, they are able to reflect sunlight. They don't absorb sunlight, the ultraviolet light from the sun. And they are also able to reduce surface temperature and prolong the lifespan of the exterior paint finish. Next slide. Now, the next one we'll be talking about is how to prevent and treat surfaces that are infected with microbial growth. Now, the thing is that when we see this kind of wall, we can see it's already infected. When we talk about microbial growth, it can come in different colors. It may not necessarily be black. It may be green. It may be red. It can come in any form of any color, but we can see that this wall is infected. So now imagine somebody wants to buy paint and paint this kind of surface. So it's not just about saying, maybe when we just buy the paint and we put it on it, everything will go. Or maybe some painters will say, when we just buy the sandpaper, we just once we sandpaper it all these things we just go and we put the paint. The fact is that this algae, this microbial growth that we are seeing, it already has a root in this wall or whatever substrate that it is. It might even be a metal. So the fact is that the first thing is that after this microbial growth has been mechanically abrased, mechanically removed from the substrate, the next thing is to do what is to wash it thoroughly with better sterilizing solution. When this is washed with better sterilizing solution, it will eliminate the root of the microorganism that we currently have that has infected the substrate. So, and the essence is what to prevent recurrence, because the fact is that if somebody just scrape this thing off without washing with sterilizing solution, after the person has painted, there's a very high tendency that this microorganism will come out to the surface of the painted wall. So that is why we advise proper surface cleaning and disinfection. That is what should be done. You disinfect with better sterilizing solution to prevent the recurrence of the growth, then followed by better alkaline resistant primer, so that the walls or the structure can be stabilized. And this will also promote adhesion between the paint and the substrate, and also enhance resistance to moisture, because oftentimes when we have microbial growth, it's always as a result of dampness and high humidity in tropical environments. Because like I mentioned earlier, it's actually a breeding ground. Whenever we have dampness, it's a breeding ground for anything called microbial growth. Now, after the primer has been applied, the next thing is to do what? To now apply antifungal paint. Better antifungal paint has special additives, and products in that variant range is our Luxor Premium and Luxor Super Premium. These products, they have been specially formulated with a very high concentration of additives that are able to inhibit any form of fungi or algae growth, and it also gives long-term protection. Next slide. Now, we're going to be looking at importance of surface repair and preparation and what to be used. Oftentimes, like we also mentioned, don't just buy in paints, because the substrate that we want to paint, how is the substrate like? What's the surface condition? Are there cracks? Are there cracks? Is the substrate, is it even or is it uneven? Those are the things that a painter or a client will definitely look at when you go to visit the site, because the moment you see anything that is undulating, that is not giving you a good finish, will definitely affect the final output of the paint that will be put in. So that is why the surface preparation aspect is very important. So wherever we have anything called cracks, or they are peeling paints, maybe there's loose paint on the wall. So all these things has already indicated that there is a poor initial surface preparation. And this thing, if this thing is not actually looked at or taken care of, it is going to result in paint adhesion failure and uneven finishes. And the customer eventually complain, because even if you won't buy a very expensive paint and we have previous cracks or uneven finish and the likes on the wall, there's going to be paint adhesion failure and uneven finish, which it will not give a very good aesthetic appeal to the customer. So now, what's our recommendation in Beja paints? For crack repair, we recommend that any form of cracks has to be thoroughly repaired, and you clean all surfaces. In fact, there has to be mechanical abrasion. There has to be mechanical abrasion wherever we have anything that is cracked, or maybe some paints are not properly done. Maybe you are seeing some places have high amount of the film thickness is higher while some are lower. So all those paint system needs to be chipped out. Then once then it has to be dusted out to give a smooth base for paint application. Then the next thing is to seal such surfaces with our Beja Roughide. Our own Beja Roughide is our own, we can call it POP. It's for layman, for those that doesn't know when we say Roughide. Our own POP, what you can use for your wall to have a very smooth finish. So we have that's our own sealant. So you apply Beja Roughide to seal all the surfaces, and it also improves paint holdout, which enhances the finishing coat appearance. So once the Beja Roughide is actually applied and everything is smooth, then the Beja undercoats can also be applied before the final decorative finish, like the Luxor Premium, Super Premium Gold finish can then be applied. These ones will give a very high quality and durable decorative coatings. Next slide. Now, when we talk about, we have some structures that are in the coastal and marine environment. The fact is that even in the marine environment, because the fact that there is water, the reason why we call it coastal, because those areas are close to the seashore. They are close to the seashore. So definitely, all those structures in the marine environment, they are susceptible to corrosion. We have a lot of metals there. They are so, and once corrosion happens, it damages the metals. Even concrete. If you see concrete, even in coastal areas, they are also affected by corrosion. So concrete reinforcement that we also have also in those areas too, they are also damaged by what corrosion. So what's the surface preparation technique that is recommended is just to ensure that sandblasting is done. That, I mean, as much as possible, any form of corrosion that can be seen that is on the substrate has to be removed by proper sandblasting to remove any form of rust and contamination that is existing there before we can talk about putting any coating system. Then for Beja paint, we have multi-layer protective system where we have the primer, we have the intermediate system, and we also have the finish paint system. What the primer does normally is to give protection to the substrate. The intermediate, we give further protection to ensure that there's no form of corrosion will actually happen to that substrate. Now, before you now put the final coat, for Beja paints, we have epoxy primer, we have our epoxy in the epoxy I build, which is the intermediate. Then our finishes, we also have it as the acrylic PU. We have epoxy finish also too. No, these combinations can be added together to actually give us what a very good, perfect, durable finish that is able to inhibit corrosion and enhance the lifespan of the structures that we have in the marine environment. Next slide.
Ideton, thank you for all these amazing informations about preparations and a particular paint coatings that we need to use before we apply our paint that we finally choose. And I just want to know if everybody in this webinar can hear us, please. I want you to indicate. If you can, I can see that Mr. Ibrahim Umar is clapping for one of our speakers. Please, I want you to click I can see Oluwole Alabi clapping also for our speaker. Please, I want you to hit the clap buttons if you are really getting values on this. I can see Jerry Peter also clapping. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, Adetong, I would love you to continue and let's move to the next slide, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so looking at this, there's what we call the corrosion category in the marine and industrial environment. Oftentimes, it may be from C1 to C5. So depending on the corrosion category, that is going to determine what is going to be recommended for structures in the marine and industrial environment. So what we recommend in Beja paint is this. Oftentimes, for all our marine and industrial coating, it's not a paint that you just go to a shelf and just pick, okay, I just want epoxy, because the first thing is that we must understand what you want to use the marine and industrial coating for, because that is what will prompt us to really recommend what is in there. Then we also need to understand what is the level of corrosion that we are talking about, because there are some instances that you cannot just use ordinary epoxy primer. That what will be needed is epoxy zinc rich primer, because the epoxy zinc rich primer has been fortified. It has been fortified to give a better durability than ordinary epoxy primer. So we need to understand where is the substrate, what is the category of the corrosion that we are talking about, what's the intensity, what is the level of the corrosion that we are talking about. So that is why we recommend that at Beja Paint, because we are solution providers, for any of such issues, our clients need to reach out to us. Based on that, we arrange a technical visit, we check the place, and we make necessary recommendation, because in places where somebody is supposed to use epoxy zinc rich primer, it cannot use ordinary epoxy primer. It will not be the same, because the zinc we have there is actually working as a sacrificial metal on that metal coating. So it will further protect the substrate from corrosion, unlike when that person has just used epoxy primer. You know, nowadays people just hear one part of something and they don't bother to wait to listen to the end. So because the notion, what everybody knows worldwide is that epoxy. But the fact is that it doesn't mean that it is epoxy that everybody is using. No, epoxy what? For instance, we also have what we call epoxy MIO, mecacaceous iron, epoxy mecacaceous iron oxide. It is not everybody. It is not a popular product that you also just see in the market. It has to be strictly by recommendation and by a lot of intended use. So that is the reason why we have all this. And then the high build too. Apart from that, when people just hear epoxy too, there's what we call the primer, the intermediate, and the finish coat. Oftentimes, people just stay only on one. Some people don't even know that there's what we call epoxy finish. At times, people will carry epoxy finish and use it as primer. It cannot be the same thing, because what a primer does is more than what a finish coat will do. The finish coat oftentimes at times is just giving you the aesthetic appeal. Maybe like, okay, the red, okay, you can see the color. But the one that is doing the work of protection, it is actually the primer and the intermediate. Those two systems is what's actually protecting the substrate. But the finish is where we are. Maybe somebody, I want my finish to be glossy. I want people to see my metal from afar. Or maybe you want your building from afar. They should see it to be very shiny. You know, or some cars that will be very shiny, where we have some that are matte. So the finish will not be based on the client's choice. So it's okay, I don't like something that is shiny. I don't want something that is this thing. So, but oftentimes for primer and intermediate, they are the ones that are majorly protecting the surface. So that is the reason why we don't encourage people to just say, let me just buy this thing. Then also too, for people that are into agricultural farms, or maybe let me say the oil industry, petrochemical industry, that are doing a lot of working with turbine, they're generating high temperature they also need to paint their equipment. Maybe it is boiler, maybe it's their exhaust, things that generate high temperature. We also have a system for that in Beja paint, the one we call silicone heat resistant paint. So this one is also an industrial and marine paint. As it is able to withstand temperature up to 600 degrees Celsius. So what I mean is this: even if the machine or the exhaust or whatever it is generating high temperature, the fact is that if they don't paint it, there will be corrosion. That one is a fact. So to prevent the corrosion of that equipment, it needs to be painted, but they cannot just carry any paint, whether gloss paint or any epoxy paint to put on it. It's going to fail. The right paint that is recommended for that system is the silicone heat resisting paint. So it's also available, but this kind of paint is going to be recommended after maybe a technical session, or maybe when one understands exactly what the intended use of the paint is meant for. Then I also just talk about for the finish. I think I've talked about the primer, I've talked about the intermediate. Then for the finish, so for the finish, for the epoxy, if one apply, for instance, maybe it's just something that is just general, maybe the corrosion is not that high, one can use epoxy primer. They can followed by epoxy I build. The epoxy finish can be used, but if the customer wants something that is shiny, because the epoxy finish is not as shiny as an acrylic polyurethane, so in such case, acrylic polyurethane can be used instead of an epoxy finish. But if the customer doesn't want something that is shiny, then it's better to go for epoxy finish. However, is not advisable for one to just carry acrylic PU to just apply, because we have seen a lot of things that people are not doing the right way. Somebody will just carry acrylic PU and just apply on any substrate. There's no adhesion anyway. There's no base. There's no primer. There's no intermediate anyway. So we just need to understand the right paint selection, why and where it is being applied. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Adeton, for your wonderful presentations. And then we got to understand that it is advisable that we should always prepare our walls before we apply our paints. And as is being said, it is very so important also for painters among us to also advise our landlord, our client, to that surface preparation is very important before we apply paint. And if we find it kind of a little harder, you can contact Sweet Painting to also help you to also do your finding, to also experiment the walls to know a particular solution, a particular epoxy that you can use, maybe either the finishing or the primer or the silicone that you can use to also first of all apply to the walls or before applying your paint. So I'll be going back to, I think, Esther here. Please, if you have a question concerning a particular paint, a particular treatment that you can use for your mold, for your peeling paint, faded, and all the iron, silicones, and all, please, I want you to write them down, because Adeton is here to also answer our questions. So let me switch back to Esther. I'm sure Esther is also here, so that you can take us straight to how Sweet Painting process before we apply paint. Esther, please kindly come unmute and join us. Are you there with us?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Thank you very much. We are glad that you are back. Kindly run us through the process, professional process, how Sweet Painting process before applying paint. Thank you.
Let me have the next slide. Yes. So those of us that's just joining our webinar for the first time, Swift Painting, we are a subsidiary of Beja Paints. We are the professional painting division of Beja. So what we do is we apply our paints for our customers, those who are very, very keen on detailed finish, on surface preparation. Those are the people that we engage. And so putting into consideration all the things that Adetoun has said regarding paint selection, when you're working with Swift painting, we also have this at the back of our minds. So the first thing we do is inspection. We don't do recommendation for paints blindly. So we inspect the surface. Like I mentioned earlier, that paints can be applied on different substrates, concrete, metal, finish, whatever finish, paints can be applied on it. So we need to know what the existing surface looks like. And then the next thing we do our assessments, and we are checking if it's damp, we are checking if there are cracks. Cracks are of various degrees. So there are cracks that are surface cracks, maybe from the plaster. You can see, those tiny cracks. And then there are cracks that occur because there's a structural defect. So depending on what we see there, we recommend to the client what direction or what solution to, take to address those cracks. And then we also check for uneven surfaces. So aside having cracks, there could be holes, there could be honeycombs on the walls, there could be mold effects, like she had mentioned, and a whole lot of things can be happening on surfaces. For metal surfaces, rust may have occurred or corrosion is on that surface. So we assess what is happening on the surface that we need to paint before we make our recommendation. In cases where we need to recommend a complete system, we provide those recommendations, what you need to do, it's not just to buy only the emulsion or matte and satin and that's all. We recommend our primers, recommend our surface treatment options. All these are things that we need to do to ensure that at the end of the day, when the paint comes on your surface, you have a very even surface. In walls that you're going to use, or walls that you're going to use satin, you know that if there are defects on the wall, if the wall is uneven, it will be very, very visible. So those are the things that we look out for. So once we've done our paint recommendation and we are ready for application, when we move to sites, we're not just opening the bucket of paint and painting your walls. No. In instances where we need to wash the wall, because we know that there are a lot of things that can hinder adhesion of paints to substrates. So if there's oil on it, there's grease, there's dirt, there are loose particles, there's dust, there's sand, all those things need to be taken care of before either a primer or paint can come on it. So we engage in surface preparation. We may wash, we may sand the surface, we may need to blow the surface. Whatever method that we use is based on what we are currently seeing on the surface. And then after that, we now start our application of our coating system on paints, as the case may be, where we use our sprayers, we pay attention to all your details, your finishing, your windows, your blinds, that the colors don't overlap, you don't have stains, streaks of stains running down your wall. We ensure that you have a very, very even surface. And then there's also quality inspection after painting has been done, where we check that there's proper housekeeping by the team. We are not staining the client's furnitures or tiles or window blinds, whatever we are meeting there. Everything is neat. And then we also give aftercare advice. For satin, we tell you how to clean your satin properly. We have mentioned that it's light scrubbing, not very hard scrubbing. So we tell you what to do to care for your paints, just like you care for any other thing you have in your building. You care for your electronics, you care for your furniture. It's the same way that you need to care for your painting system.
Oh, amazing. We can all see that it's not just about we buying paint and start blaming the paint that, oh, the paint that I bought is this, the paint that I bought is the one that is fading the house, is the one that is generating mold, is the one that is making my house to, to smell, to have some dirty smells, algae is coming, is the paint. No, you can see that there is a lot to be done before you apply the paint that you buy. Even the mighty paint that you buy from overseas, and if you don't do the right things, it can also lead to you overspending and also to you buying paint every year to repaint your home. So I think it's time for us to answer your questions, and I would love us to raise our hand so that we can also pick who would be answering questions. So we have a lot of us here, and I want us to answer question. If you want to answer question, please kindly indicate so that you can unmute yourself. We want to hear your voice as well. We want to see you talk to us. So let's take your question. I think I have Mr. Oluwole. Please kindly unmute and ask your question.
Good morning, everybody.
Good
Thanks
morning,
to
sir.
all our lecturer, let me put it that way. But one thing they have not talked about that bothered most of us painters who are on the field. Some developers, their plastering are issue. The aggregate, they are mixing aggregate. They not measure up to standard. At first paint, the plastering will be okay. It's just after applying the paint, no matter how good the paint is, if the plastering is not good, the plaster is that's what is holding the paint. If the plaster is not good, by the time the plastering starting losing what do I call it? Losing the strength. The plaster will come down with the paint. And the owner of the property, most of these developers, they do buy and build and sell. They will now say is the issue is from the paint or the painter or all this thing. What do we do on that? Because I've faced so many issues on that. I will tell the owner, it's better you do this, whether replaster or you paint. You now do all those things later. These are the things we need to address, because number two, Abuja plasterings and these things, plaster sand are not good at all. It doesn't, no matter the quality of your paint, your plaster here in Abuja is not as the one available in the southwest or some other area. The issue of plastering of houses in Abuja is something else that doesn't bring out the quality of any paint at all you use. So what can we do about that? And number three, I've attended so many training in Baja office in Wuse today. I made a point to Mr. Shegun then that there's an issue in painting. I said something general that if you have a good paint and bad painter, and bad paint and good painter, you can see there will be an issue because it has happened to me. We were working somewhere. They were using beggar paint while we were using DM. And the man came. He saw what we were doing. What type of paint? He said, why is his own paint is even more, our own, what we are doing is more, even better than the paint is using. I know not to discredit the people that is using, because I was there. He has to call me to the site. Well, I said, what happened? I said, I don't know. Later, I now advise him that you don't just go to road and call painters to come and apply your paint for you. Look for people, the qualified people, to do your job for you. He now agree, but he has wasted money, has wasted everything. That's only can do. You manage it. He has to manage those things. He's still managing it up till now. You know, can you imagine somebody buy paint of 127,000 that doesn't even get what it will bring out? So my question on that is, what can we do as a qualified painter? Because there are painters outside there. What you want to say, give me 5,000, they want to collect 1,000. You bra and go. What can we do as a professional painter on that field? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oluwole. I really appreciate this amazing question. Before I throw it to my speakers, I want to rephrase your question. You said you're talking about a wall treatment and also a plaster that they were always used in Abuja is not good enough. And you also talk
Yes.
about side road painters. Thank you. First of all, I will need to throw this question to Adetong. Please kindly enlighten Mr. Oluwole on what treatment can be used and also the recommendation of Rod 5 for a better plaster for Abuja. Then the third question we go to Kinaku.
Okay, thank you, Damilari. Thank you, Mr. Oluwole. So to answer your question, it's in two ways. When we talk about pro plastering, as long as it's not major, that is not like a structural defect, because anything that is structural, I can tell you that the best is for the client to be informed so that he knows that he needs to do a replastering. But if it's not something that is major, we have a solution in Beja Paints. In fact, it's even the first product that I mentioned. We have what we call a concrete protector. In fact, it even makes it easier because the concrete protector from the name works best. In fact, this never works best. The only way our manufacturer's recommendation, our own recommendation in Beja Paint, that it is applied directly on a plastered wall. So when that concrete protector is applied on the plaster wall, because it is the color is opaque. It's not something that is coming with any form of color that you say maybe it's white or blue. It's opaque. The moment you apply it on the concrete, it takes on the color of the existing plaster. So you are sure that you have protected that plastering on its own. Then once that is done, the next thing is to then do what? If the customer, or there's a need for the rough-hide, like for instance, another thing is you also need to look, like when we say plastering, how is the plastering like? Is it well plastered? Does it give a smooth finish? But the moment you start seeing some form of undulation, maybe some surfaces have maybe the film thickness, or maybe it's just showing some patterns or contour or the likes, you just know that as a painter, you need to recommend POP, which is Beja Roughhide, for the application of that one. Then you also need to know when we say POP, it's not just any kind of POP. That's why we are saying Beja Roughhide, because our own is different from all these other ones that is being sold. And so we are also guaranteeing what we are saying, that our paint is of quality and that's very good adhesion on wall. It's not the one that will be giving out flakes, that will be losing, that you can be seeing chalking, that will be chalking. No, that's not our own product. Our own product will not give any form of chalking at all on the wall. So that's what we recommend. So the moment the concrete protector is applied on the wall, allowed to dry, the next thing is to now put the Beja Roughhide. After that, the other coats can be applied for adhesion between the roughhide and the incoming paint. So, and once that is done, you are in fact, there's not going to be you won't even see any issue. Maybe there was a previous issue with the plastering before. That is the way it is actually recommended to be done for the plastering. Then the Abuja one that you mentioned also too. I mean, there are some things that because their plastering is not good in Abuja doesn't mean that people will not paint. That is the fact. Or maybe if not only Abuja, maybe let's say it might even be Lagos or some areas of maybe Ogun State. Say maybe they don't have a good plaster sand. It doesn't mean that people will not paint. People will paint. So that is why the experts like Beja Paint will now come into play to say, okay, yes, even though we know that maybe the plastic sand or the way they do their mixing ratio with the cement and sand is not okay. This is our own recommendation. Now, since as long as it's not a major structural defect, it is good. In fact, we even love this kind of problem because we know we have solution to those kind of problems. So the fact is that, thank God, it's still a concrete. The first thing is to put our concrete protector. Once it dries, now the next thing is now for us to start building up. Okay, are we putting Beja Rufide? Once that is done, let's put the other quote. So what is the final product? Is it the super premium gold, super premium luxury, super premium that the customer wants? Is it for its exterior or the interior application? So based on that, we can now recommend the final finish coat that is going to be put on it. And I can assure you, sir, that there's not going to be any issue, or maybe any issue that there is something actually that has to do with an underlying factor of poor plastering before. So with that Beja recommendation, we have taken care of whatever issue that is previously happening on that substrate. Thank you, sir.
Amazing, Adeto. One thing I love about what she said is that Beja Paints love this kind of problem, this kind of issue, because they have a particular product that can solve that problem. That word means a lot. So, Mr. Olawole, in case you have all these kind of issues, people around you are facing this kind of issue, we are just one call away. Just reach out to us. Definitely, we are going to be in Abuja. We can solve as many problems for you and for all your clients at the same time in a professional way. And I assure you that Beja Print product has been existing for years, and I'm sure you know about it. And if we are not good enough, if our product is not solving that problem enough, we won't be in the market till today. So the third question was talking about roadside painters, not professional painters. We understand that there was a lot of a roadside painter, but I'm telling you that street painting is better than a roadside painter. So I'll be bringing in Esther to also highlight us on why it's important for us to use street painting rather than using the roadside painter. Thank you. Esther, please run us through, please.
Okay, thank you very much. So, like we've discussed earlier, Swift painting, you can see we've highlighted the process, our process from inspection to aftercare. And so Swift painting, aside using quality paints like Beja paints, we also have trained professionals that execute painting jobs. And so they're looking out for all the defects on the walls. They're ensuring that they do surface preparation. They're ensuring that the client is choosing the right paints and not just color. They're ensuring that the client gets detailed finish and a clean environment after painting. And so when you engage Swift painting, you are rest assured that you're getting value for your money. So it's a contract that you can award to Swift painting and you just go to sleep. So we do the follow-up, we do the monitoring, we do the project management for you. You don't need to go around chasing painters. You don't need to source for painters. Swift painting takes that burden for you, as well as also delivering quality service. You are sure that the quantity of paint that you've bought is what you're going to use on your projects. No one is going to shortchange you. Your paint will not be diverted. You're getting value for your money for both the paints and also the painting. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. I think we have Mr. Shegun here. Please kindly unmute and answer your question, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Chenjo Oluwasegun. My question is this: when we talk about surface preparation, hello, sir. I hope you are hearing me.
We can all hear you, sir.
Yeah, when we talk about surface preparation, my question goes to Mrs. Esther. I want you to break it down. When we say surface preparation, what are the steps of surface preparation? Like, for example, when we have a wall that is textured and the client wants it to be surfaced, to be clean, not to be surfaced again, what are the steps we are going to take? How are we going to handle those texture on the wall before we started applying, maybe let's say screening material, or let's say before we started applying our paint? What are the steps to the surface preparation? And I want the wall surface preparation to be breaking down for many people of us to understand. We all hear surface preparation. Most painters believe surface preparation is just by getting to the wall, wash the wall. What are the steps that require for surface preparation?
Thank you, Mr. Shegun James. Before I call in Esther, I would like to also pitch into your question before. I understand that you are one of the important person in our community, and I assure you that, like I said, you also feel the form of you coming for our podcast. And very soon, we are going to be calling you to come to our head office to also join us in the podcast so that we can share this amazing story of your journey. And we treat painting and Beja paint together, and we all grow together. So, Esther, please kindly run us through the surface preparation so that Mr. Shegun can also and other people can also go along. Thank you.
Okay, so if I get your question correctly, you asked what are the surface preparation steps for a textured wall before painting or before screening. I'm not sure I heard that correctly.
Mr. Olusegun, are you there?
Sir, yes, sir. So my question is, what are the steps to the texture wall? We are talking about surface preparation. Assuming we have a texture on the wall, and we need that wall to become a smooth wall. What are we going to do to get the texture balance, to get the wall balance before we can call? I know it's part of the surface preparation steps, but what are the things that we need to do on that texture?
Okay, so I think I understand you. So you have a textured wall and the client doesn't want it anymore, wants it to screed and wants a smooth wall. So first thing you do is to inspect the wall. You need to check if the walls have cracks, if there are damp portions, if there are areas where there are loose textures, so that when you're doing your screeding, you have some sort of leveled surface. So you're checking for dampness, you're checking for cracks, you're checking for hollow spots, holes, you're checking for loose painting or loose plaster, and then you now have to scrape whatever is peeling or flaking, any blistered paint, you scrape it off, and after that you need to sandpaper the wall. So get your a coarse sandpaper. They usually have different dimensions, or you use a mechanical sander or sanding machine, as the case may be. So what we are trying to achieve is for the screed to bond properly to the textured surface. And so you have to roughen it a bit for it to be able to have better adhesion. And so that's where the use of the sandpaper and mechanical sanding machine comes in. In the cases where the texture is a bit glossy, there may also need to be grinding of the surface. Like I said, you need proper adhesion. Then you can now remove all the loose particle. You may need to wash the wall. If there are stains of grease or oil, you need to wash it, use your vacuum, dust it a bit, and then allow it to dry. Now, before you apply your screeding or whatever the case may be, your normal preparation for screeding, your basic cement screed to achieve the right thickness, you may need to use a bonding agent. I don't know where you can get that from, so that you have a good bond between the screed and the textured surface. And then once you've applied your screed and it dries, you have your right thickness, then you can now allow it to cure and you can now prime before you do your painting of the new paint finish you want to achieve, which I believe is either matte, if it's external, and then internal, maybe satin or whatever the client wants. I hope that that answers a bit of your question.
Thank you so much, Esther. I'm sure that everyone here is really getting values and they are getting informations. And I want to before we answer Mr. David Ikoyi questions, thank you, Shegun, for clapping for our speaker, and I really appreciate everyone here. So before we get into the third question, which is going to be the last question for today, I want to say that it is very important that we we use the right process, we go through the right process so that our clients can also keep recommending us. Imagine you as a painter or as a POP person or as an engineer or as a contractors and all these things, and you get a particular project and you are just in a hurry just to apply the paint without even considering some certain things that you need to do. You know, you are losing that client. So it is better for you to do the right thing so that you can retain your clients. And also, I want everyone here to also know that Berger Paint Nigeria PSC has the best product that can last you as many years as you can. You know, our satin product, our decorative product, our non-decorative product, they are not just a product, they are solution-based products. We have been there for years. 60 years plus is not a beans. And we can be bold enough to say that we are a solution provider in coating industry. And whatever we do it intentionally. So, and sweet painting also is there for us for application purpose. We can travel, we are everywhere. We are everywhere in Nigeria. And as we are speaking, we have a professional painters that we have that can go to site. They can visit your site any days, anytime. So let's hear the last question for today from Mr. David Ikoyi. Mr. David Ikoyi, the floor is yours.
So, hello?
We can hear you. Go
Hello?
ahead, please. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Really appreciate our instructor. More grace, sir. More grace, ma'am. My question is concerning the war and preparation. So how can we undo the situation whereby the preparation concerning the Island, like the Lekki, Aja, Ikate, because there are some war that after you paint maybe 3 months or 4 months, we see that it started developing brownish. Because some that place they always paint in white, and sometimes in this another color. So after 3 months or 2 months, it started developing brownish color. So how can we undo that situation in the area by such a thing, because it's a water area? How can we maintain the balancing? So in time of preparation, that is my question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. David Ikoyi. I'll be throwing this question to Adetung and also give us an advice on a product to use for a place like Lekki. Thank you.
For those areas, what is recommended is this. If the place has not been painted before, it makes it very easier. So the first thing that should be checked is this. Are there existing algae or microbial growth on the wall? That's the starting point. If you have any form of growth on the wall, the first thing that needs to be done, as I previously elected, is this. The walls needs to be washed. You sterilize the wall first with the sterilizing solution, Beja sterilizing solution. Once the wall is properly washed, you are allowed to dry. Now, when the wall has dried, the next thing is to apply Beja concrete protector. So when the concrete protector dries, then if there is a need for the roughide, maybe that's if the client wants, the roughide can be applied. If there's no need for the roughide, whatever painting system that needs to be applied can then be applied on the substrate. However, we should not forget that there needs to be a primer. So whether it is now going to be Beja undercoat, or if it is going to be the same paint, maybe the Luxor Premium, if it's them need to consider, is it for exterior application? If it's external, we don't just take any paint of the lower variant for external application. That's why we have recommended our super premium. As a matter of fact, for that area that you are mentioning, you talk about those Lekki area that are prone to water because of the salt and the like. The right product that we recommend for such area is our weather sure. Not just any type of product, not just Luxor. We recommend weather sure, because that one is also going to give you a surety that yes, what you are buying, with the fact that you have already put concrete protector, you are sure that yes, you are already putting like a double protection on that wall. That is what we recommend. So once again, I'll just we go over it again. The first thing is that you will check, as it has not been painted before. If it has been painted before, the painter needs to remove existing wall on that substrate. The existing wall that is there needs to be removed. It has to be sandpaper, or maybe by sandblasting. It needs to be removed. After it has been removed, then any form of loose paint that is existing on the wall, we need to find a way to remove it, so that we must be able to see the concrete plaster on that wall. So when we now see the concrete plaster on the wall, the next thing will now be to sterilize, wash the wall. Once the wall is washed, allow to dry, put concrete protector. After concrete protector, put Beja roughide, put the undercoat, and put the finished coat. That is the weather sure. By that, all this brownish, whatever color that is coming out, we are not going to have that kind of challenges. And that is the new solution that Beja has, and it is actually in use. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adeton. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. So you can see, I'm sure that that has already answered your question, and I want you to know that you need to know more about Beja Paint Weather Shop. You know, that product is a top-notch product from Beja Paint Nigerian PLC. But before we go into that, so you can see this is Sweet Painting project. Let's just watch.
At Swift Paints in Nigeria, we deliver professional painting services with precision, speed, and excellence using advanced equipment, including our powerful airless sprayers and professional surface preparation tools. We achieve smooth, durable, and high-quality finishes on every project. Take a look at the transformation and the exceptional finish on this project, another example of the quality and craftsmanship Swift Painting is known for. Whether it's a home, office, or commercial building or industrial facility, our experienced team is ready to deliver results that last. Swift Painting Nigeria, faster, better, cheaper. Contact us today to schedule your free consultation and let us transform your space with a professional finish.
This is a wonderful webinar, and I really want to thank everybody. This is a Sweet Painting contact. You can store the contact. You can send us a WhatsApp. You can reach out to us any day, anytime. We are always available. You know, you can follow us on social media. I want all of us, I want you to follow us on social media to see most of our posts, to see how we also communicate, how we also reach out to people, the informations about crack walls, dump walls, peeling paints. We also educate people, on how to also prepare their walls. It should be in case you can't see this slide for now. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn to also get educational tips on what you can do for surface preparations. So I want to thank everyone, our speakers, Esther, Adetong, for taking their time to share this amazing experience with us, and also the impact they have made to make this webinar to be successful. And for everyone that asked questions, from Mr. Oluwole to Mr. Olusegun to Mr. David and Emmanuel, Mr. Shegun himself, Temitope, every one of us that is here. I really appreciate everybody for coming to join us. John, Mr. Akorede, Babatunde, sorry for the name, Idowu, Jerry, Nasiru, Christiana. In fact, I really appreciate everybody. Miriam, Emmanuel, Bo, the Toy Bats. I can't mention names. You guys are wonderful. You guys, Zainab, Adekunle, everybody, and myself. So I really want to thank every one of us, and we'll be making sure that this webinar is available for us to rewatch on our YouTube channel, and we are going to convert it also for MP4 for us to be able to watch on our WhatsApp. Please don't forget, I'll be reaching out to you in our community, and thanks for coming. At this time, I'm saying goodbye. Bye-bye, everyone, and thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.